G'day guys. Today I'm doing a sketchpad video, a very clumsy one if I may say so myself, on the concept of vision, inspiration, purpose, your VIP score, and why in coaching, in high performance executive leadership, it's really important to do your VIP scores before each coaching session. So enjoy it. I hope it explains a few things. They're always a bit of fun, and have a great day. Bye. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Chris, and today, high performance executive coaching. I'd like to do a sketchpad conversation about why I think it's really important before every coaching session that you do with me, you fill out the VIP diagram. Let's have a look at that VIP diagram. So this here is the VIP diagram. And what it asks you to do is to score yourself 10 out of or 0 along those lines, and you give yourself a score out of 10. So you end up with something like this. You end up with a sort of a graphic. Now, it's really important to do that. Firstly, it gives me insight as to where you're at, but most importantly, it shows me which part of your brain is functioning in which area of life. Now, what happens for people, and it's really important to be aware of this, if in our career we're operating at an 8, but over here we're having some mental struggles or some health struggles, we're operating at a 2. What most people will do is they'll try and fix the 2. They'll have a score like this, and what they'll do is they'll try and sort this out. They'll focus on a health problem. And in the process of improving their health back out to an 8, they'll take their mind off something else, and they'll become, a little more obsessed with fixing a problem. And problem solving means you just take from one area of life and feed it into another. And we definitely don't want to do that. We definitely don't want to do that. What we say is a balanced person is balanced in all areas of life. And if we have a problem out here, we fix the problem in that zone rather than to say, I'm going to take energy from over here and start becoming all super spiritual, for example. In the process, knocking, or if we've got a relationship problem and we're scoring ourselves a 4 in relationship, we start going to counseling and trying to get this to come back up. And in the meantime, our health goes down or our career goes down, and we start sacrificing. So in order to avoid that, I ask for your VIP scores each week. And that's a quick text that you send me before your coaching session. And it shows me exactly which part of your mind is functioning in your life. And it's not a good or a bad thing. It just is what it is. And it's important for us to make sure that we try to average a relatively high score, somewhere between 6 and 8 in each of the areas of life, and remain contented and fulfilled. The 7 areas of the mind, we've summarized them down into this chart called the love to down to the got to, which is the human consciousness pyramid. And there's 7 of them. So although there's 7 levels of the mind, there's 7 areas of life, and the mind can be operating in a different level. You might be in relationship in a should do, you might be in business in a choose to, you might be in some other part of your mind over here, some other area of life over here. And so the consequence would be that there's an averaging process going on that is not healthy. So there are 7 pyramids, 7 areas of life. Consider it more like a cone. I can sometimes draw this well, today not, but it's more like a cone than it is a 2-dimensional pyramid. So the way we work with the coaching is we recognize that there are actually, make this a little larger, we actually realize there's a process that we can go through on a daily basis called the power hour. And that is that we consciously consider our mindset is number 1. We then focus that over into our health. We then focus on our environment. We then focus on our work. We then focus on our vision. We then focus on our self-talk, and we come back to balance. And that really, this in here is the ultimate, which is result. So we call this the power hour, and maximum per day it takes an hour, but sometimes we spend more than an hour to build that area of life up, so that it so that we get good at being, changing our environment should only take 10 minutes today to get outside into nature. Working out our priorities for our work is only a relatively short amount of time to think about. Changing our mindset, the emotional shower, they can be done in 15 minutes, but to learn them, it takes a little while. So we may invest some time up front to get really good at these daily power hour. But the important part of what we've talked about is to realize that as much as we want to stay in the top three and avoid the lower mind, this is the lower mind, and we use routine and discipline to stay out of this area. We want to strengthen this part of the mind. We want to be in the higher zones of the mind up here. What it's really important to recognize, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, is that we go down the mountain, we go across, we go up the mountain, we go down the mountain, we go across, we go up the mountain, we go down the mountain, we go across, we go up the mountain. And so we're continually falling from grace, as it were, falling from grace, working out what was the emotion, how do we balance it, and rising back up. We fall from grace, we cross over and rise back up. So there's a quote that goes, as above, so below. So the quote, as above, so below, is really important for us all, because what it means is the higher we go in utilizing the higher levels of the mind, the deeper we go in our awareness of unconsciousness, in our awareness of the lower levels of life. So, for example, you might, in your early days doing this work, you might say, I don't like rainforest deforestation. I'm really against deforestation. But eventually you'll see the balance in deforestation, and then you'll say, now you've gone to a higher place in the world than you were before by understanding the balance in a lower place in the world. So we're continually going down the pyramid, across the pyramid, seeing the balance in something, rising up to a much higher place, as above, so below. Then we might go down and see COVID, and we go, that's really bad. Oh no, there's two sides to COVID. I see the balance. We rise up. We're in a much higher place. So each time you go through a coaching session and you move yourself through the balance of something that's going on in your life, you arrive back at a much higher place than you did before you started the coaching. So this is really important for us to take the things that are antagonizing you and work through them in a coaching session, so that you, the key about this is it doesn't necessarily feel good. It doesn't necessarily feel good to be here versus here. It doesn't feel better or feel great. What it does, it returns you to ground zero. Now, this ground zero, which is what we call inspire the individual, this ground zero is really important for us all, because this is where we lead, this is where we love, this is where we create relationship. So we go down the pyramid and we work our way up, and it's really wise to see that TikTok, the going from plus to minus to, gee, I don't like this, to, gee, I see the balance in it. Gee, I do like this. Oh, I see the balance in it. The nature doesn't go in straight lines, so that we can't have an expectation ourselves that we're going to nail it right on the head every time. What we need is a process that does this faster and faster. And of course, we don't want to go way down into the lower realms of the lower mind. This all can happen in the higher realms of the higher mind. This is the lower mind. So we don't have to be super emotional. We can be super inspired, and that's where your superpower is. So each time a person evolves, all the 7 areas of their life. So if we're talking about the spokes of the wheel we did before, there's this week, and then next week we're out here. We've got a bigger wheel, and the next week we're out here, and we don't notice ourselves evolving out through these frustras, these movements of balance in our pyramid. We don't notice ourselves move through them because we're going through coaching. And the coaching makes sure that you're doing it in all 7 areas of life. So there's not this sense of, gee, look how spiritual I am, and oh shit, I've got a divorce. Or, wow, look how wealthy I am, oh shit, I'm dying from disease. So we evolve the whole person out and out. Now, if you know anything about the mathematics of a sphere, I think it's pi r cubed or something like that. The volume, by just increasing, by growing a little bit in seeing the balance and moving up a pyramid, in just moving out a little bit out here, you increase the volume of the sphere by r cubed, which means the volume of your consciousness is going exponentially up, just like coronavirus tried to do. This all feeds back to business, and as we evolve, so does the size of the business we can lead. And we don't recognize ourselves growing taller, but every time you move through a balance and return to inspiration, the business that you're leading grows with you. And the people that you are leading grow with you. And so this is a great gift to humanity. It's a great gift to the world to keep processing and evolving yourself, staying inspired. I used to draw this diagram, and it was something, there's the pyramid. This is a very, very old diagram I drew at a workshop. Self-esteem, high self-esteem, low self-esteem. So that little bubble through the middle looks like this: low self-esteem, high self-esteem. Here's self-worth. Some people can pump themselves up. Oh, look how great I am. Then they pump themselves down. Look how bad I am. Self-worth is in the middle. So the higher we stay in this pyramid of growth, the less drama we have with this low self-esteem. And of course, the less bubbles we create of fantasy in high self-esteem. So the coaching is deliberately designed to reduce these extremes of emotion out here and keep you on track up the middle. Up the middle is gratitude. So there is a shortcut through this path, grateful. But what happens is people get grateful for the good news, pissed off about the bad news, and start working on self-esteem. We don't want self-esteem. High self-esteem only gives us momentary pleasure, and it actually gets balanced by low self-esteem down here. We want self-worth. Self-worth ends up in dollars, ends up in love, ends up in leadership, ends up in confidence, ends up in all the things we want. So high self-worth is what we're going for by staying true up the center of this graph. So the ultimate mission we have in coaching is to keep you as quickly as possible out of here, out of reaction. But that doesn't mean you come to coaching without reaction. You come to coaching to process anything that's keeping you stuck in this bottom realm. The process of coaching is to keep you up in the higher realms, which means is to move this stuff up. Remembering what we've said, we grow along this paradigm. We grow by going through low, balance it, low. And so when you come to coaching, the expectation isn't to say, oh, gee, I'm really fine, thank you very much. The expectation is with your 7 areas of life, with your 7 pyramids, you'll have, I've drawn that completely wrong. Your pyramids are faced, in a sense, they're faced towards the center because that's 10. And this is 0, the got-to. So each time you come to coaching, you'll score yourself from 0 in the middle to 10 at the top, which is absolute bliss, nirvana, and you'll be somewhere in between. And our job is to just move whatever is keeping you stuck in the lower realms up. And nature abhors a vacuum. And the most important thing to recognize that a person who is growing grows at the border of chaos and order. So we've always got order, chaos. We've always got some got-tos, some things at the bottom of our pyramid to process. And that's why you need consultants and coaches to help you process this stuff as quickly as possible and help you stay inspired, which is the prime reason to be coached. This is Chris. You have a beautiful day. Bye for now.